What's up, degenerates? It's your least favorite truth bomb dropper here to torch the rancid landfill of anime romances where characters have less agency than a Roomba and plots are held together by duct tape and the tears of bored writers. Think domestic girlfriends. I banged my teacher and my stepsister but forgot how eyes work, meets diabolic lovers. I'll let this vampire abuse me because his voice sounds like SMR. Buckle up, buttercups. We're diving into the dumpster. 1. Premise. Love by trauma or government mandate. Pick your poison. Imagine a world where romance means tripping into your soulmate's arms during a meteor strike, or being legally obligated to marry because the script said so. These shows treat chemistry like a myth, like Bigfoot or a woman's orgasm. Handshakers out here like, hold my hand or the universe explodes. Wow, nothing says soulmates like emotional blackmail and a CGI budget thinner than my patience. And let's not forget Mirai Nikki, where Yandras stalk you with death notes and the only relationship goals are surviving the night without a kidney removal. 2. Characters. Cardboard cutouts with wig hats. Meet your protagonists. MC Kuin. A sentient bowl of oatmeal with a voice actor who sounds like he's reading shampoo bottles. His hobbies include blushing at walls and having the emotional range of a PowerPoint transition. Love interest John. A walking manic pixie red flag who's mysterious because her only trait is existing. Her backstory? Dad left for milk. Deep. Villain San. A billionaire demon CEO, age 12, who hates love because capitalism? His plan? Make everyone as miserable as the audience. These characters aren't written. They're generated by a Twitter bot fed nothing but fanfiction and energy drinks. They'll forgive war crimes if you say, sorry once, monologue about destiny while standing in digital rain, and consent to slavery because he's sad inside. 3. Plot armor thicker than your denial. In these universes, logic is a myth. Here's your checklist of peak realism. A girl falls for her bully because he shoved her into a locker. Romantically. A 10-minute speech about friendship pauses a zombie apocalypse. Someone becomes a love slave after one conversation. You're nice, I guess? School Days said, what if we took all the worst parts of dating Sims and added a boat? Spoiler. Everyone dies and the boat wins. Meanwhile, Diabolic Lovers is just Twilight with more biting and less consent. The only danger here is your IQ flatlining. 4. Animation? More like Slideshow Simulator 2024. Let's roast the artistry. Budget? What's that? Scenes so still you'll think your Wi-Fi died. Emotional moments? Here's a close-up of a wall. CGI disasters. Handshakers fight scenes look like a PowerPoint transition. Domestic girlfriends steamy scenes? 2 mannequins hugging in a fog machine. Lip flaps. Characters' mouths move like they're dubstep remixing the script. Senpai, your eyes. They're like eyes. 5. Toxic relationships sold as dreamy. These shows are why therapists drive Teslas. Examples. Diabolic Lovers. He drinks my blood and calls me trash. I can fix him. Future Diary. My girlfriend's a stalker with a death list. Relationship goals. Wolf Girl and Black Prince. He gaslights me, but he's hot, so. Newsflash. If you need a restraining order, it's not a meet cute. These anime are the reason red flag is a trigger warning. 6. Dialogue written by aliens or drunk Twitter trolls. Script highlights. It's not like I like you or anything. Blushes in 4K. We're destined to be together. Also, I've known you for 12 seconds. I'll die for you. Proceeds to trip into enemy's sword. The writing's so bad even autocorrect gave up. Conclusion. Why do these exist? Because Japan looked at Twilight and said, hold my sake. These anime aren't romances. They're CPR dummies for your emotions. They're the junk food of storytelling. Fun to hate watch, but you'll feel emptier than a McRib wrapper after. Final rating 0 out of 10. Wouldn't recommend unless you're hosting a drinking game called Shot every time someone says Destiny or cries uncontrollably. 0 RIZZ anime. where relationships are served on a silver platter and characters are optional. The anime industry has created an entire genre dedicated to forcibly pairing characters together with all the natural chemistry of mixing oil and nuclear waste. These shows are a special breed of awful where writers have seemingly never witnessed actual human interaction, and instead base their understanding of relationships on fever dreams and fan fiction written by 13-year-olds during math class. The absolute king of this dumpster fire category has to be Domestic Girlfriend, where our protagonist Natsuo somehow ends up with both his teacher and his stepsister under the same roof after his dad remarries. This isn't a relationship. It's a legal nightmare wrapped in incest wrapping paper with a bow made of ethical violations. The characters don't pursue relationships so much as trip and fall penis first into them through contrived coincidences that would make even the most shameless soap opera writer say, "That's a bit much." Nobody in this hellscape of a show displays a single ounce of common sense, self-preservation, or basic human dignity as they careen from one catastrophically bad decision to another like they're competing in the Olympics of poor life choices. The writer clearly thought, what if we made a show where every single character needs immediate therapy? And then decided that wasn't quite bad enough. Then there's Handshakers, an anime so visually repulsive it looks like someone put a early 2000s screensaver in a blender with a DeviantArt account and hit puree. The premise involves people forming bonds by holding hands, which forces them into partnerships to battle others. It's about as subtle as a brick to the face and makes just about as much sense. The animation looks like someone threw up after eating nothing but neon signs for a week straight. The characters have the emotional depth of a puddle in the Sahara, and the forced partnership is explained with pseudoscientific garbage that would make even the most desperate sci-fi writer say, maybe dial it back a bit. Speaking of forced partnerships, Mirai Nikki, Future Diary, gives us Yuno Gasai, the poster child for Don't Stick It in Crazy, as she forces herself into protagonist Yukiteru's life through the power of stalking, murder, and being clinically insane. The show tries to sell this as romance when it's actually a PSA for restraining orders. Yukiteru himself has all the personality and backbone of a wet paper towel, going along with this psychotic relationship because the plot demands it, not because any sane human would tolerate having their life threatened by a pink-haired Yandere with abandonment issues and a body count higher than my student loans. Diabolic Lovers deserves a special place in the Hall of Fame for relationship atrocities, where the entire premise is, what if we made abuse sexy? Our protagonist Yui is essentially a juice box for 6 vampire brothers who treat her like a combination blood bank and emotional punching bag. The show tries to frame this as hot and desirable when it's actually a walking red flag factory that should come with a warning label and the number for a domestic violence hotline. Not a single character in this crime against storytelling displays normal human behavior. The vampires are one-dimensional sadists whose entire personalities can be summed up as asshole with hair color. And Yui has the self-preservation instincts of a lemming with a death wish. Wolf Girl and Black Prince continues this proud tradition of normalizing toxic relationships by having the male lead Kuya emotionally manipulate, humiliate, and control the female protagonist Erika, who responds by falling deeper in love because apparently the writer thinks Stockholm Syndrome is just spicy romance. The show presents his gradual transformation from complete sociopath to slightly less complete sociopath as character development worthy of tears and applause when it's actually just the bare minimum for not being human garbage. Mysterious Girlfriend X takes the forced relationship concept and adds bodily fluids, because nothing says true love like drinking someone's drool. This show skips the entire getting to know each other phase of a relationship and replaces it with a supernatural saliva bond that forces the characters together through the power of exchange of bodily fluids. It's like the writers were asked, how can we make a relationship happen without any actual character development or natural progression? And they answered, spit. The male lead Tsubaki becomes literally addicted to the female lead Urabe's drool, which is played as romantic instead of a condition requiring immediate medical attention and possibly an exorcism. Nisekoi drags out a forced relationship premise through the miracle of plot contrivance and amnesia, where characters who cannot stand each other must pretend to date because of gang affiliations. The show then proceeds to introduce every possible device to prevent resolution, childhood promises, identical keys, memory loss, new love interests, stretching what should be a one-episode misunderstanding into multiple seasons of frustration. Characters in these shows never ever communicate like actual humans, instead relying on misunderstandings so contrived that you could solve the entire plot with a 5-minute conversation if anyone had more than 2 functioning brain cells. School Days takes the forced relationship trope and adds the spice of everybody involved is a terrible person, with protagonist Makoto collecting girlfriends like their Pokemon before it all ends in a bloodbath that's the only satisfying part of the entire series. Sword Art Online forces Kirito and Asuna together by trapping them in a death game, because nothing says romance like the constant threat of actual mortality. Rent a Girlfriend gives us a protagonist so pathetic he pays money to rent human affection, then lies about it to everyone he knows, creating a relationship built entirely on financial transactions and deception. Citrus forces a stepsister relationship that immediately becomes sexual because apparently the writer couldn't think of a single other way for 2 women to meet. Scum's Wish features characters using each other as substitutes for the people they actually want, engaging in physical relationships while emotionally checked out, creating the romantic equivalent of eating cardboard because you can't afford real food. Koi to USO, Love and Lies, takes forced relationships to a government level, with a dystopian premise where the state assigns marriage partners through an algorithm, removing even the pretense of choice or compatibility in favor of genetic optimization. These shows all share the common thread of writers who seem genuinely confused about how human relationships form, develop, or function, instead throwing characters together through contrived circumstances and expecting the audience to root for these train wrecks masquerading as love stories. The characters in these relationship dumpster fires typically have exactly 1 personality trait, if they're lucky. The girls are usually some variation of Doormat Yui from Diabolic Lovers, Psychopath, Yuno from Mirai Nikki, or Tsundra whose personality can be summarized as kicks people and then blushes, Kaidoge from Nisekoi. The guys fare no better, typically falling into the categories of spineless protagonist who somehow attracts women despite having the personality of unbuttered toast, Kanzuya from Rent a Girlfriend. Manipulative sadist presented as dream boyfriend material, Kyuya from Wolf Girl. Or dense harem protagonist who wouldn't recognize romantic interest if it tattooed its phone number on his forehead, literally any harem lead ever. Character development is replaced by increasingly contrived scenarios forcing these empty vessels into proximity until the writer decides they're in love now. Ukami Shoujo to Kuro Uji, Masamune Kuin's Revenge, Kamisama Kiss. Brothers Conflict, featuring not 1, not 2, but 13 stepbrothers as potential love interests because why stop at 1 uncomfortable family relationship? B Gata HK, and countless others all parade out these relationship fast food equivalents, quick, unsatisfying, and leaving you with regret and an emptiness inside that can never be filled. The worst offense of these animated relationship crimes isn't just their terrible premises or cardboard characters. It's the harmful messages they normalize under the guise of romance. Shows like Amnesia, where the protagonist has no personality because she literally lost her memories, making her the perfect blank slate for a controlling relationship, Hakuki, where being turned into a bloodthirsty monster is just a quirky boyfriend trait, Diabolic Lovers, which should be renamed Red Flags, the animation, and Watashi ga Motte Desunda, all present stalking, possessiveness, control, and even outright abuse as desirable traits in a partner. Female leads routinely endanger themselves to please male characters who treat them like garbage. Male leads are rewarded for toxic behavior with the unconditional love of women who have apparently never heard of self-respect. Shigatsu wa Kimi no Uso uses terminal illness as a relationship catalyst. Kuzu no Honkai has characters using each other as substitutes while pining for others. Care Kano starts with mutual deception as the foundation for love. Peach Girl creates drama through constant betrayals and manipulation. Nana glorifies destructive relationships that ruin lives. Paradise Kiss romanticizes a relationship with a clear power imbalance and manipulation. These shows aren't love stories, they're warning signs with opening themes and merchandise, teaching a generation of viewers that healthy boundaries, communication, and mutual respect are optional extras in relationships rather than essential foundations.